Friends of history, gather round. Today we embark on a journey through time, delving into the annals of our past. Today, we plunge into the heart of the 20th century's darkest hour, World War II, a period marked by unparalleled destruction and human suffering. It was a conflict so vast, so devastating, that its echoes still resonate today. The scars it left behind are etched into the very fabric of our world. Millions perished, empires crumbled, and the world was forever changed. The sheer scale of the tragedy is almost incomprehensible. But how did this global catastrophe begin? What were the seeds of this monumental disaster? What forces collided to unleash such unimaginable horror? The answers lie in a complex web of political, social, and economic factors. Join me as we pick apart this complex tapestry, thread by bloody thread. We'll examine the decisions, the mistakes, and the ambitions that led to war. This isn't just about dates and battles, though those matter. It's about the human stories, the lives forever altered. It's about understanding the chain reaction, the domino effect of events that led seemingly rational people into a maelstrom. Each decision, each action set off a cascade of consequences. We'll dig into the minds of dictators, exploring their motivations and the ideologies that drove them, the desperation of the masses who found themselves caught in the crossfire of history, and the catastrophic failures of diplomacy that lit the fuse, the missed opportunities, the broken promises, and the miscalculations. Fasten your seatbelts, folks, because we're going back to a world on the brink. A world teetering on the edge of chaos where every decision could mean the difference between peace and war. To understand World War II, we must first go back to the ashes of its predecessor, World War I. The devastation left behind was immense, with cities reduced to rubble and countless lives lost. World War I, often called the war to end all wars, concluded in 1918 with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. This treaty was meant to bring lasting peace, but its terms were harsh and punitive. The Treaty of Versailles, while intended to ensure peace, inadvertently sowed the seeds of future conflict. The harsh conditions imposed on Germany created a fertile ground for resentment and anger. Germany, held responsible for the war, was burdened with crippling reparation, significant territorial losses, and a profound sense of national humiliation. The treaty's terms were seen as a national disgrace. Imagine a nation stripped of its pride, its economy in tatters, and its people struggling to survive. This was the reality for Germany in the aftermath of the treaty. The 1920s in Germany were marked by economic hardship and social unrest. The once proud nation was now grappling with the consequences of the treaty. The war guilt clause, which forced Germany to accept sole responsibility for the war, bred deep resentment among its people. Protests and political unrest became common as the nation struggled with its imposed guilt. The crushing reparations payments crippled the German economy, leading to hyperinflation and widespread poverty. Families found their savings worthless, and the cost of basic goods skyrocketed. In this climate of despair and anger, the stage was set for a demagogue, someone who could exploit these emotions for their gain. Enter Adolf Hitler, who promised to restore Germany's former glory and avenge the humiliation of the Treaty of Versailles. A failed artist, a wounded veteran, Hitler found his calling in the chaotic aftermath of World War I. He joined the Nazi Party, a fringe group peddling a toxic brew of nationalism, anti-Semitism, and promises of German greatness. Hitler, a captivating speaker, tapped into the anger simmering within the German people. His propaganda machine was ruthlessly effective, painting a picture of a humiliated Germany betrayed by its own leaders and encircled by enemies. The Great Depression further fueled Hitler's rise, providing a fertile breeding ground for his message of hate and resentment. As unemployment soared and desperation grew, the Nazis offered scapegoats: Jews, communists, and the democratic system itself. By 1933, Hitler had risen to the position of Chancellor of Germany, a pivotal moment in history. He quickly consolidated his power, dismantling the fragile democracy and establishing a totalitarian state. The Reichstag fire provided a pretext for him to suppress opposition and eliminate political rivals. One of his key objectives was to overturn the hated Treaty of Versailles and restore Germany to its former glory. This treaty had imposed severe restrictions on Germany, both militarily and economically, which Hitler vehemently opposed. He began secretly, then openly rearming Germany in direct violation of the treaty. Factories that once produced civilian goods were now churning out weapons, tanks and aircraft at an alarming rate. The world, weary of war, largely looked the other way. The League of Nations, meant to ensure peace, proved ineffective in curbing Germany's militarization. Appeasement, the policy of making concessions to Hitler in the hope of avoiding conflict, became the order of the day. British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain famously declared peace for our time after the Munich Agreement, a sentiment that would soon prove tragically misguided. The Anglo-German naval agreement allowed Germany to build a navy, while France's Maginot Line, a defensive fortification, proved a costly and ultimately futile attempt to contain German aggression. These actions only emboldened Hitler, setting the stage for the devastating conflict that was to come. Section 5. The shadow lengthens. Emboldened by the lack of international response, Hitler grew more aggressive. In 1938, he annexed Austria, his homeland, into Germany. He then set his sights on Czechoslovakia, specifically the Sudetenland, a region with a large German population. The world held its breath, fearing another war. At the Munich conference, Britain, France and Italy, desperate to avoid war, caved to Hitler's demands. Czechoslovakia, betrayed by its allies, was forced to cede the Sudetenland to Germany. British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain famously declared that they had achieved peace for our time. He was tragically wrong. Section 6. The breaking point. The Munich Agreement proved to be a disastrous miscalculation. Instead of satiating Hitler's appetite for conquest, it only emboldened him. In March 1939, German troops marched into the remainder of Czechoslovakia, shattering any illusions of peace. The world finally realized the folly of appeasement, but it was too late. In another shocking move, Hitler signed the Non-Aggression Pact with his ideological enemy, the Soviet Union, in August 1939. This pact, which secretly divided Eastern Europe between them, shocked the world and paved the way for Hitler's next target, Poland. Section 7. Lightning War Unleashed. On September 1, 1939, German forces stormed across the Polish border, marking the beginning of World War II. The invasion of Poland was swift and brutal, a terrifying display of Germany's new military doctrine, Blitzkrieg. This lightning war strategy relied on speed, surprise, and overwhelming force. German tanks, supported by dive bombers and mobile infantry, punched through Polish defenses, bypassing strong points and sowing chaos in their wake. The Polish army, though brave, was ill-equipped and outmatched. Section 8. Shock and Awe. The world watched in horror as Poland was overrun. France and Great Britain, honoring their guarantees to Poland, declared war on Germany on September 3, 1939. However, they were ill-prepared for a major war and could offer little immediate assistance to Poland. The Blitzkrieg proved devastatingly effective. Within weeks, Poland was crushed, its government forced into exile. The speed and ferocity of the German attack stunned the world. Section 9. A world ablaze. The invasion of Poland was not merely an isolated act of aggression. It was the culmination of years of simmering tensions, unchecked aggression, and catastrophic miscalculations. The Treaty of Versailles, while intended to prevent another war, had created the conditions for its return. Hitler's rise to power, fueled by economic despair and nationalist fervor, set the stage for disaster. The world had underestimated Hitler's ambition and his willingness to plunge the world into war. Now the flames of